Hello, welcome back to step 3 in this unpacking of the Jacquin Fingerlock. Today we're going to get into something I talk about so often, testing your work. Something that's fundamentally missing from the activity, the repertoire of many hypnotherapists, certainly out there. You can do good work without testing it, but it's much easier to know, if your client is responding to you, certainly responding to your suggestions. If you give some suggestions that go beyond instructions really to relax. If you want to give people a bigger experience, if you want to begin to provoke some of the, perhaps more obvious, apparent, and dare I say, impressive hypnotic phenomena from people, at some point you have to, suggest them, and you could just go for it. You could just tell them you're invisible, but it's kind of easier to gradually turn up the heat, to test, for simpler responses, and then push further and further and further. So yesterday I touched on the 4 categories of hypnotic phenomena, and today I'm going to show you how you could essentially test for all of them: physical, emotional, challenge, and even cognitive phenomena like hallucinations via this one technique. Tomorrow I'll get even more deeply into the applications, like how we actually roll this out in a hypnotherapy session, and how I use this in performance, and how I use it as a selection procedure, how I use it to make people forget their name. All of that good stuff is in the next lesson. Today, let's talk about the concept of testing. So we've got the person's hands out, clasped together, elbows bent, fingers up, fingers have touched, squeezed, hands have squeezed. They've gone out into a fantasy. They're engaging in this thought of a loved one. They're experiencing an emotional response. We can perhaps see it in their demeanor and their expression. And then we've done that pacing and leading statement. As you feel that, as you listen to me, your fingers are becoming stuck together, locked together, as if superglued, stuck. All right, so within that, again, we've suggested the outcome. They're stuck, locked together, and we've even suggested a means, right? We've gone from kind of magnets to emotion to superglue, stuck together, locked together, superglued, stuck. We're getting a bit more emphatic. We're picking up, our force of delivery, our tempo, and we're now at the point of testing our work. Now, again, we could go all in and just say they're stuck. Try and pull them apart. Often enough, you get a result. But what I want is to give as many people as much of this experience as possible, right? And the stronger my test is, the clearer, the truer, the more unequivocal my test is, the more people I'm going to lose straight away. Now, again, I'm going to use this selection procedure often enough to find my best subjects. As you could argue, why not just get there straight away? But I want to give as many people as much of the experience as possible. So I tend to test in 4 or 5 or 6 different levels. I'm sure you get the idea of pressure testing. We're going to gradually turn up the pressure. If you were to put up a shelf, you wouldn't immediately sit on it. Right? You may just give it a little wiggle first of all, and then perhaps place a book on it or something before realizing, no, this is solid and true, and I can put everything that I want up there now. I can put my stereo on there now, whatever it happens to be. Think of the Hadron Collider, smashing atoms together as I understand it. They don't just go bang all in. It takes them weeks or months to gradually bring these two beams together. Where are we? Bring these two beams together and begin to collide them together, right? And with all of the forces that unleashes. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay? They're stuck. Test 1. When you realize they're feeling stuck, raise your hands a little higher so I can see them. Okay? So when you test 1, when you realize they're feeling stuck, it's an ambiguity, right? I'm repeating the suggestion, they're stuck, but I'm saying when you realize they are feeling stuck. Right? So you can become aware, and that could be interpreted as my fingers have touched. I'll raise them. It could go as far as I'm pulling already, they're completely stuck, I can feel it. Maybe you were fighting at this stage and losing, and you're already convinced they're stuck, right? Maybe you're somewhere between those two poles, and that's going to be most people. When you realize they're feeling stuck, raise them a little higher so that I understand. Raise them a little higher so I can see them, right? So if I'm doing this with a table of people or an entire audience, I'm going to get between 90 and 100% of the audience to raise their hands at that point, which is fine. Anyone else doesn't, puts their hands apart, no problem. I'm kind of no longer interested in them. Remember, I've kept my promise. This is going to make you feel good. Right? We've already passed that stage. Test 2. When you realise they're stuck, raise them a little higher. Test 2. Tighter and tighter, they're sticking and locking to the point that you could try and pull them apart and find they're stuck fast. So again, listen, to the point that you could. I haven't quite said it. I haven't quite said, try and pull them apart. Do your best. Right? I've said to the point where you could. And again, I'm going to lose perhaps 10, 15% of people at that point who pull and breach the suggestion, the situation we've created. That's just fine. Okay, but I'm going to see a lot of people pull. They're going to move slightly. Yeah. So I'm going to push on. Test 3. That's right, they're stuck. You can try and pull them apart and find you cannot. This is very, very famous, almost cliche kind of phrasing amongst hypnotists when we're testing our work. Try and do something and find you cannot do that thing. There is some element of what I call task ambiguity in there. It sounds clear, it sounds fair on one level, but on another level, the participant, they want to have the experience. They don't want to displease you. They want to go further, actually. And they're not sure what the task is. Is the task to remain stuck? Or is the task to pull them apart? Or is the task to fail trying to pull them apart? Well, in my eyes, ultimately, it's the third. I want you to try and pull them apart and fail at that. Try and pull them apart and find they're stuck. So try and pull them apart. They just about engage and they hear and find they're stuck. If they're responding to your suggestions, they're going to be stuck, right? Another test then, test 4. This one is very, very stealthy. This is my favorite. When they start pulling, I'll often say something like, if you say it's a group of guys, I say, you come in, you're a strong group of lads, pull as hard as you can, right? Again, no one really even sees it as a test, but that's me basically saying, put effort in, add tension, rather than take it away. And if people add tension to these kind of effects, they flex their muscles, they pull as hard as they can like they're in the gym, they're not going to get anywhere. They actually need to ignore me and do the opposite and relax, right? So, come on, you're strong people, pull as hard as you can. Another one that often follows that, which is equally stealthy, is they may start to shake or vibrate. It's nothing to be concerned about. Right? So this sounds like a health and safety warning. But if I'm looking at a group or an audience with their hands in the air or pulling, and I throw that one out there, I'm telling you, it's like I can just see. I'll see a bunch of hands start to shake, start to vibrate. Some of them are there already. Right? So I know those people are instantly immediately, accurately, perfectly responding to every single thing I'm saying, even though it's just a casual utterance. If they may shake or vibrate, it's nothing to be concerned about. Right? So more and more encouragement, more and more suggestions they start, more and more encouragement to pull. Right? Where are we at? Test 4, test 5. And now, I'm gonna give one more. Now, for many people, the experience of this is extremely strong already, right? But for many, it will be stronger if they open their eyes and have the same experience, right? So the final test is I'm going to say this. In a moment, I'm going to clap my hands. Your eyes will open. Your hands will remain stuck fast, and you will look at them as if they're somebody else's hands. Open your eyes, look at your hands completely stuck. Right, so this is where I'm going to get a reaction of someone looking at their hands. If there's other people, they may look around. It's almost like they're looking for help, or they're looking to see if they're the only one. They're going to get some confirmation they are not the only one. Other people are in this position. Other people are kind of freaking out too. All right, so hopefully you can see there. We've gone from physical phenomena to emotional phenomena to challenge phenomena, our third category, and finally this fourth one, again, it sounds very casual, doesn't it? You're going to look at them as if they're somebody else's hands. Now, for some, that's just going to be a figure of speech. They're just going to look at them like, that's weird, my hands are stuck together, like they're somebody else's hands. But I promise you, if you deliver this line, you're going to have some people who open their eyes and do this. And they're going to look at their hands. They're going to hallucinate right there and then. They're going to see those hands like they're somebody else's. It's going to feel very strange for them. They may feel kind of completely dissociated from what's going on up here. Nothing they're doing is having an effect. Okay? So that's a little thing about testing within this. Within my therapy work, it's exactly the same, because I'm going to create what's called ideomotor movement. Sometimes we hang a value upon these automatic finger twitches, hand movements, arm levitations. Okay, I'm going to create those experiences. I'm going to elicit those responses. But as the session goes on, I'm going to begin to gently challenge them. So let's say the person's hand was lifting. That's right, fingers lifting, hand lifting. I know it's a strange experience. Yeah, the higher it gets, the better you're going to feel. Lifting higher and higher automatically now. You can try and hold it steady and find it lifts even higher. You can put some effort in, try and hold it where it is. I mean what I say, try and put your hand down and find you cannot. Right? So again, gradually we're turning up the dial on that test. This will give more people more of the experience. It's going to allow you to have more time to observe, more time to see the variety of responses rather than just losing 80% of an audience or more all in one test. And again, by the time you get to the fourth and the fifth test, the real open, honest challenges, the invitation to open your eyes, again, you're going to see this is a very strong effect already. So that's enough, I think, about testing. Tomorrow is a really important step, so make sure you check in for that. I'm going to talk you through a real wide variety of ways that you can apply this stuff. And whether that's in performance or whether it's for therapeutic change, you're going to find a lot of gold in that lesson. See you then.